access. So they can come into this folder, they can create some files, but so they cannot access files created by the other user, but they can access files created by them. So this is just the overview of how the file system works. So I think there's also a detailed description in one of the lectures also.
Yeah. Sayan, can you just pull up the terminal and show them with the tree command?
Yeah, let me share the entire screen there. All right, so I think you can see my terminal, right? Let me zoom in a bit. So if I press PWD, so hopefully these commands you're familiar with by now. So PWD shows the current directory.
Yeah.
So
Sayan, just before we go ahead, right?
yeah,
Just tell them what is it that you're using, because a lot of people will get confused that the way when
yeah,
they will use this terminal, right, it
yes.
may not look the same.
Yes,
So
so the prompt and all, it will be different for like for everyone. So right now I'm using bash, but then I have changed my prompt a bit. So if you are, let's say you just installed WSL or you just logged in into a Linux system and you open terminal. So you can usually just search for terminal or shell or something like that, and the application will open. So the application will be like a rectangular application where you will get a prompt like this. So usually the prompt will have your username and your system's name, and there you can type the command. So the basics is same here. Also I type the command, just the leftmost part is a bit different.
okay, so do not let it bother you. Just
Yeah,
understand what he's trying to do now. Mm.
yeah, so like everything which we're doing will remain the same, even though this part may look different from yours. Yeah, so if you just open the terminal and do pwd, you will basically see that you are currently inside the slash home and then slash your username. So if your username is this, then you will be in slash home slash sign. So let us see how the entire file structure looks from the like the slash or the root of the file system. So you can simply do cd and then slash, and you can now go to the slash. So if you do pwd, you can see that now you are in the slash. So all these folders will then be inside. So if you do ls, you can see all the folders. So you can see temp, which we discussed, user. There's also something called var, and so this is the one which were earlier inside home, and there are also other things, so etc and boot. So this is for like booting up the system and something like that. So bin is where we store the binaries, and so on. So there are multiple folders in here. We don't have to worry ourselves about what each of those do, especially now, just at the starting of the course. But just remember that this is how it is structured. So there's a slash, and then inside there we have all these folders. So let me just go into one folder. So you can, let's say, go into the etc, and you can see that inside that folder again you have multiple files. So let me just do a tree here to so at the slash itself to show you how the directory looks. So I'm not sure if the tree is installed in the VM, but tree is a command which basically shows the
Yeah.
file systems like this.
Yes.
So
So
in a,
before we move and introduce this command, right, Sayan, why don't you
yeah.
show what if they don't know this command, right? Say tree command they don't know. How will you look for the help,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So yes. So let's say you know that this command's name exists, but then you don't know how to use this, right? So I maybe want to I list the tree of this directory, but I don't know how this tree command works. So what you can do is there are some commands like man and apropos, which you can use to list out how this works. So the simplest is just type the name of the command and do dash dash help. So this will just give you a small help of how that command works. So let me just full screen the screen. So you can see that when we do tree dash dash help, it will give us a basic example of how the tree command works. So it says that there are some flags like dash a, dash d, dash l, etc., which you can use to modify how it works. But you can also see that these are all inside this square bracket. So in general, in all help pages and man pages, the square bracket means that these are optional. So even if we don't provide this, the command should do some default behavior. So according to this means that this will do something even if nothing is given. So let us also see how we can see the same in a man page. So what you
Can
can
you
do,
increase your font
yeah,
size a bit for them to see clearly?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can type this command man, which is short for manual, and this will let you know how each command works. So you can do man tree and press enter. So this will open, you can say, kind of like a user manual file where the command is explained. So tree, you can see it, it is given a short description, list contents of directories in a tree-like format. And in the synopsis, so this may be overwhelming because it's just a lot of letters. But then the reason this is given is that so that you can quickly see which of the parameters exist or which of the parameters are required or which are optional. So here you can see that the text tree is without any bracket. So the text tree you have to type when you want to run the tree command, but everything else is optional. So you can have these flags, and what these flags do, you can scroll down and see one by one individually. So -a will list all files as opposed to only the non-hidden files. So we'll get to that later. But then, so these are how you see how you can modify the default behavior of a command. So
Yeah, let's just see, just run tree
yeah.
command and
So
see
you
the
can
output.
see if we are running tree here, it will take some time because there are a lot of things in our system, right? So you can see everything is being printed out. So
Now,
hopefully,
if I want to stop, how will you
yeah.
do?
So as you can see, this is going on forever. So we don't want to wait for this to be over. So you can press Control and C, Control plus C, and this will send a signal to the command to stop. So whenever you're running, let's say something which is taking longer than you want it to, or maybe you want to cancel the operation midway, you can simply press Control C. So the control is shown in the terminal using this @ symbol. But yeah, what this basically means is you have pressed the Control plus C.
Yeah. And now you see that, right? We have so many files and folders are coming in.
Yeah,
What if I want to limit it to only one level one or level two? So when
yeah,
you now this is the next question, right? Now we can
yeah,
go again in the help text or man page and see how we can do that, right?
yes,
And use
exactly.
only that flag. Yes, I go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so as you can see, like tree in general, it has, so each node has multiple folders inside, and then they have multiple folders inside it. So let's say I just want to list out all the folders inside slash, and then maybe all the folders inside each of those, but not anymore. So how we can do this is we can basically control the depth of the tree. So let us see how we can do that using the tree. So we can open man tree, and here we can see multiple arguments are there. So here what we want to do is we want to find an argument which will limit the number of levels which we go in. So it will like usually be something called levels or depth. So let us try to find that
It
argument.
is hyphen capital L. Yeah.
Capital L,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So if you go at the top of the help page, right,
Yeah,
you can see the option and what it does, right?
yes,
So tree in the bracket, like in synopsis, right? In the first line itself.
yes,
Yeah, in hyphen L, it tells you level.
yeah,
So that is also a good way to find help right away
yes.
if that is what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see like there are multiple arguments, and for some arguments like -L, you also provide some additional information to it. So if you're doing tree-L, you also have to provide how many levels you want to see to. Similarly, for others also, if you want to output that to some other file, you do -O. So this is similar to how your GCC works. So you do -O and then the file name. So for the tree, if we see the -L command, so this limits the maximum display depth of the directory tree. So let's say I just want to display one for like two levels of from the root of the file system. So we can use tree-L2. So let us see how we can do that. So we do tree-L2. And now you can see instead of taking forever to load, this printed almost instantaneously. And we have a few folders which are listed. So still there are a lot of things which are there. So, but then you can see that, so let me just scroll here. So you can see inside the slash, we have home and we have name of a few users. So this is, I just created for some demonstration purposes. This is a special folder, which is not a user's name. And then this is the name of my user. So that is stored here. Similarly, inside slash, we also have lib64, all these MNT for mounting. So things like pen drives, when you insert it, may be mounted here. OPT is usually used for installing some other applications. So things like, so some things may be installed here for in some systems. Proc is a folder which usually contains the information about all the processes running in your system. So this is not actually stored in your disk. So this is actually stored in your memory. So anytime you run a process or some other process is starting, so that process ID will be stored as a folder here. So you can get all the processes information also from this folder /proc. And then, so this is why it's very big, because there are a lot of processes running. And then we also have this root, right? So you can see error opening dir. So tree command tried to list this also, right? Because we told to list till 2 depths, but it only listed the name of root folder and did not list anything inside. This is because this is the home directory of the root user, and we don't have privilege enough to even see what he has stored there. So that's why the tree command printed a small error here, that it cannot go inside this. It can only tell me that this folder exists. All right, so the run is also a folder where some details about some of the programs are stored. And we will talk about what these are. So links, I think, later. So these are basically one folder which is linked to some other folder.
Yeah, so just show them, just with level 1. Okay. So
Yeah,
what we were talking about, right? The structure, the file structure, is
yes,
that why you have one root and there are so many branches.
yes, exactly.
So just we can see with level 1, and you can see that a root has all of these folders.
Yes.
And can you see there are arrows and it is pointing to something else, right? So this is your symbolic links which you have learned in. I hope it is covered, right, in the week 1.
I think so, yeah.
No, it is like
Yes, sir.
I want
Yeah.
student to let me know. It is covered, right? So these are the symbolic links
Yes,
which you
sir.
can directly see from this, right? So you can see different folders which it has, and he already covered, what is lib and lib64. And if you have done the C programming course, you know that you also build shared libraries, right? What is the purpose of shared libraries? Can anyone tell me? Say you're building a C program, and now you need certain set of libraries, right? So in a lot of cases, you will build shared libraries which is shared across different programs. Can you tell me any particular reason that people do that? Like from the C programming perspective. Anyone? Yeah, just let me know at least, what all you learned in the C programming. Anyone can be, just raise your hand and let me know. Yeah, Madhur, go ahead.
So we learned about the basics of C, then file handling, then basic algorithms like arrays and lists.
So data structures, basically.
Macros.
Yeah.
Yeah, macros.
Mhm. So you guys came across libraries or not yet?
A few, like
No.
we use mat.h and then stdlib and
Hmm.
yeah.
So the purpose behind asking this question is that these are basically libraries which are shared by many of the programs, right? You may not want to, what do you call it? Uh, Reinstall the same libraries for different application at different places, right? You want to conserve your space. So you may want to have a single central place where all the static libraries live in, where they will be linked to your program. So lib is basically where all the shared libraries usually live. Bin is he already covered, right? All the binary files, all the programs will be stored if it is installed as a root, right? In the /bin directory. So apart from that, you also see that what do you call it? So when you build your own C programming app and all that, right? So there is a basic structure uh, which you need to follow, right? A folder structure, or maybe you need to create certain set of files when you're developing stuff. Right? So like a tree is a good command to look at all of that, right? At a glance, if you download a file folder. Do you have any software installed, Cyan?
So yeah, I have.
Yeah, any of the softwares you can show the same command in there.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Same tree command, right? In any one of the softwares which is installed in maybe in your OPT directory. You
Uh,
have some.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
they
Krishnan,
have
go ahead.
TLDR. Yeah, same. They have TLDR.
TLDR, I think ID. Yes. Yeah. You want me to TLDR the tree command itself? So what this will do is